Well, hello, everyone. So glad to see that you're all waiting on me. Had a little issue with getting on here today. So hopefully everything then is behind us. So I'm excited to share some new things with you today. Um, as you all know, we have been doing the subscription boxes, and most of the templates that I'm going to use today are from that subscription box. So let me just show you the ones I'm going to be using. We will be using the one that has two. It's called Spinifex 7. It has two different sizes on it. I'm also going to be using the Butterflies in Flight template. And this is the part that I'm going to be using. I will be using from my Between the Lines templates, which you can also get these same size circles from the what's called small simple circles. And I'm using the 1/2-inch simple circle, and I'm also using the 1.5 inch. So I get to introduce you to something very new. And this is because I've been asking and asking and asking for it. And finally, we have it. And I'm going to turn this mat over because I think you'll be able to see it better. It is what is called, I believe now, it's basically a small stitching line disc. And you'll see why I'm using it. I think we're going to call it an applique disc. So see how small that is? Instead of a 1/2 inch like the stitching line disc, these are only 1/4 inch from what would be your needle out to the edge. And this is going to allow us to trace some of our templates and get some fun, basically some raw edge applique. So I'm going to turn that up there so that you can see these. It is so small. Stacy sent me 4, 2 of each size, and I've already lost one. I suppose the cats will find it, but I'll never see it again. It's so tiny. So I'm protecting these last 3 with guarded safety here. So I'm going to leave that one out. And you need to have a super sharp pencil. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take my fusible. You can use the So Steady Template Fuse. You can use like the Heat and Bond light. You don't want anything heavy. You want the light. And so let's say I am going to want to trace this piece right here because I'm going to make a flower. So I'm going to set that right down in there. And when I trace this, I will be 1/4 inch actually 1/8 inch from my edge. Because what this is going to allow me to do is use my regular stitching, my foot, and stitch just inside that line. So it won't be a long ways away from there. So let's go ahead and draw one of the big ones too. And if you know what your fabrics are going to be, and I'm sure you're going to know what your fabrics are going to be, this is a great project for using out of scraps because you have little pieces and you can cut this to size and whatever. So I'm going to show you where I'm putting mine. I have a little magnetic case. The reason I'm telling you guys is if I forget, I might have to ask you. I put it in that little case, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to like I said, if I'm going to use this on my blue dot fabric, then I'm just going to write it on there. Maybe this one I'm going to use on the green fabric. And I'm just stating a couple of things there. So I'm going to cut these out. I would trace all of the ones I needed close together. So like if I had other pieces that I was tracing, say I needed 6 of these, I would trace them close together. And then I just cut them in the margin. You don't want to cut out the shape. I picked up my wrong scissors so you can see I got my curves there. So we've got some funny things going on. And then what I'm going to do, obviously for today's project, I've already cut out everything because I don't think you want to sit here and watch me cut all of that stuff. I'm over here digging in my trash to find a piece to use. So I set the green dot on this one, and I've already cut some things out of the green dot. So I'm going to turn over my mat here. Again, I apologize. Can't get a new cover for it. Just keep using it. So I'm going to take that little piece that said blue dot, and I'm just going to press it on the wrong side of my fabric. Now I'm just going to pretend that I wrote the same thing on this, and we'll press it there. Now you want to let that cool just a little bit. Get a good seal on that fabric. Because if you start to cut it off too soon, then you're going to have issues. Now from what I did, I've got a piece like this. I've got one that I didn't end up using. It's still big. I saved those. I put them in a little baggie and I saved those because they're perfect for when you get ready to do another project. Now, I will tell you, you need to have a good sharp pair of small scissors like this to do this cutting. And if you watch how I do it, I only cut with the very back of my scissors. I don't cut clear to the end unless I had a long straight line. And I'm just going to turn that. This is the part that is like, if you don't like sports, but you want to sit down in the evening with your family and they're watching sports, this is what you want to have ready to do, because you just got to sit there and carefully cut these out right on the line. Not outside, not inside, right on the line. So there's one. And we're going to go around this one. It's funny, before the class, when I was finishing up my preparations, I'm cutting, and I'm cutting just like I am right now, except I was holding it up to the camera when I didn't even need to. I do not know. I guess I'm so used to doing things so the camera can see it. So you can see I'm just slowly going around that. Now, one of the things that, as I have taught applique for a long time, obviously our fusible pieces have much improved since when I began. But one of the things I find people have the hardest time with is actually getting the back off. And I'm going to show you how easy this is. Get a very sharp, fine straight pin, and you're just going to take it into that paper piece. And when you just get the paper piece, you can kind of pull it down like that. And then you can take that pin and just slide it underneath there, and it will come right off. You can do this a whole lot faster than what many people get frustrated. You see how that just pulled back? Just take a straight pin that is really fine. I've got these that have that, there was some of that magic pen series. And so that's the ones that I use. So once we've taken those off, then you're going to decide, where am I going to place these? What am I doing with it? And so I'm going to tell you a few steps ahead here. I will be using black thread because this technique we have seen at some of the shows, and we wanted to introduce it to you because you have templates that were going to work perfect with it. And one of the things that they look at is it's pretty much like sketching. And so the ones we saw were all done with either black, brown, or like a navy blue thread. I'm using black today. If you wanted to match your colors, you certainly could do that. But I'm going to use all black. Now I'm going to make myself a bigger space. I'm not going to make myself, but I'm going to make a bigger space for myself here. And what I was modeling for my spacing was a 6-inch. Or a 6-point, crosshair square. Now you don't have to use this at all because wherever you put it is where you're going to use your template. So let me get it over here. I have already put it together. And this is a heavier canvas fabric because this is going to be for an outdoor like mat on my table. It's my outdoor table. So I cut out 6 of the large, like this one, and I spaced them, but I didn't put them together in the center. So what we're going to do is we're going to be stitching around all of these, and then I'm going to add a center to it. And doesn't that give it the pop it needs? I mean, that makes it so much better than just seeing this, thinking of it all together. Why did I move them out from the center? Is because I don't want all of that thread getting all thickened up there. And this looks better as a flower than if they were in farther. The same thing with my little one there. It's got 6. Again, you could have put your 6-point crosshair on there to get these exact. I just put them together, made sure I had enough space for my little piece here in the middle. And then we're going to do those. Now my butterfly, this is what it looks like right now. It's also going to have a head in here, and I have cut out 2 larger ovals that after we stitch that, we will stitch these over here. So just playing with our templates, had we just used the template and drew this, it would have been 1/8 of an inch larger out here, and our stitching would have been 1/4 of an inch from the edge. And I really didn't want that. Now, the way I'm going to set this up to be finished is I am using 2 layers of a thin bat. And when we get it all quilted on top, at least these, I should say applique because it's applique. I am going to put another piece of this face down, stitch 1/4 of an inch around the edges. At that point, I can decide if I want to make it oval. And then I will turn it, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to straight channel stitch all the way through. Now I could do like Donelle's background fill templates. Some of you have those. You could do that on here. You can do squiggly lines. You can do all kinds of things. But the whole idea is to make it a firm mat that you can use outside. So let's take our template here and start with this one. I'm looking at the questions. Are you guys seeing things now? I see some said I'm not seeing anything. Hopefully you are. Okay. So I'm going to set this on here, and you'll notice that there's space around inside there, and that's just exactly how I want it. So I want that space to be even, and that's where if you really want to make sure and you don't trust your eyesight, you now have a use for that 8-inch or 1/8 of an inch spacing gauge. Okay, you can see I'm checking that. Now, when I do this type of work, I want to make sure, so like remember we're going to cover that up with something else, but I want to make sure that my threads don't do something funny down underneath there. So I am going to pull it up. Remember I said I was using black thread. And at first this is going to just probably do some of you in because you're just not used to that starkness, but that's the whole idea of this. And because I don't have my backing on, I will be able to use my bullseye button, which is going to knot that up and pull it to the back. So there it is, 1/4 of an inch from the edge. Now I'm just going to go ahead, like I said, use that bullseye. And that's putting a knot on the back. And I am going to go ahead and cut it. Now this top is going to be overlapped again, remember. So with that being said, I'm just going to do that cutting. And that's what we've got. Let's go to the next one. Again, make sure you're in there at that 1/8 of an inch. Give it your look-see. Test it if you will. That down there needs to be moved down a little bit. That's much better. You can even, if you want, just kind of go back a few stitches and come back forward. Because remember, that's going to get covered up. Uh-oh. I thought something happened there. Okay, so this is going to be one. And that's exactly the way they do it is a second time. So I think I'm just going to do them all 2 times. Somehow when I touched that, I ended up touching from my light setting to medium, and that's why it was skipping. So here we go. It actually looks better with 2 of them. So let's just go back and take care of that. I can see your comments, so if anybody has any comments there. So I know where this is starting. And I'm just going to go ahead, pull that into that because that's definitely the start place. Check my 1/4 of an inch. And I'll go slowly to start to see if I'm right over. Looks like I did. This is one where you might have to, because it's a little thicker, you might have to lift that up. I got little pieces down here that I don't want to lose. So I'm being kind of careful here. All right. I'm not even going to bring it up because my machine doesn't get all fussy that way. And because I've got 2 thin layers of batting here, it's given a little bit of a puffy look. So right now, I'm sure some of you are going, I don't know about this, Donelle. I will tell you when it's finished. You're going to probably really like it. Some don't because of the black. But again, like I said, you could match if you wanted to. That would be no problem. Pull that down to hold the place there. And I can see I'm too far that way. Use that 1/8 inch. I could hardly wait to share this with you guys today because this is going to lead to a Christmas project that I do with my Christmas motifs. And I know many of you have that set. And I think Stacy may even already have it on the schedule. I'm not sure, but it's really a fun project. And we like to give you more projects to do rather than just what's in the boxes that some of you are doing or the kits or whatever. So let's get that thread. Well, come on, thread. There we go. I'm going to push that back so that I can get a couple of these threads cut out of there. And I'll show you what the back looks like so you can decide if you want to do anything different than what I've done. I don't think you will because this is pretty easy peasy this way. You just have to kind of think in reverse, like what goes down first is what would be farthest away in your picture, so to speak. So I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to get my little pressing mat and stick it underneath here because we're going to be putting that on top. Now, if this is a or a color that you can see through, you would want to put a piece of interfacing on the back of that so that it would cover it up. And you want to see that you're placing that on there right in the center. And so now on this one, I'm going to use that 1.5 inch circle from either the Simple Circle small set or the Between the Lines. And you can see it just fits right around there. So I'm going to bring this thread up because it's on top. Let's get a measure. Some of you are probably saying, I have never used that 1/8 inch. Now I know why I have it. Let's, for fun, just do that one more time since it's our center. I'm going to overlap. I'm going to press that bullseye to knot it, and then just cut it. So just that quick, we've got our flower on there. Oh, I need to press that. I was going to say, what was that? Now, when I do my background, I'm going to use an off-white thread to match that when I do my strips in the background. I'm not going to use the black there. So now we're going to go ahead and do our smaller flower here in the center. So get that template. Anybody have any questions? Now on this one, I'm going to show you because it's so close. I'm just kind of going to do my own little dancing over to the bottom of that next one, just so I don't have to keep pulling bobbin threads up, etc. Now I need to lift my needle and just smooch that up just a little bit to get my 1/4 inch. Oops, meant to put the other one down. Oh, I forgot to show you the back. Well, I will here in a minute. You can see how much time we save when we just move over there to the next one. Always make sure when you're doing that moving, you've got enough room. Alrighty. So this one is now complete. We've got to add our center. So I'm just going to take my, do my finishing button. My center that I cut may not be big enough. I don't know. Let's see. If it's not, that's not a big deal. Nope, it needs to be just a little bit bigger. So I will pull out a piece of orange. from my scraps. And let's see where my template is. I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So there's my little template. And instead of using the little disc, I'm just going to draw it as it is. And this time I'm going to cut just a smidge inside of that line. And you'll see why when I put it back down there. This is why I had it all cut out and pressed, because I didn't think you wanted to see me cut all that. Okay. So now, when I put that on there, it covers up those lines. So if you were to do it just like mine, just know that when you go from one to the other, go into the center and come back out. So I just learned something there. So let's just peel that back off. I'm going to pull it around here where it's closer to me so I can see all of it. Oops. So now let's get that little template. Here's what the back looks like, you guys. That's not nasty at all. Because remember, we're going to put a backing on here. This is just our knots that have pulled through, which is what we want. So we're going to line this up. Come on, thread. Pull that up. And you can see this time I have a bigger margin because I did not trace it with that little stitching line or applique disc. So I just have a bigger margin there. All right. Butterfly to go. So we're going to get that butterfly template. And I want to do this one first because these overlap in the center. But I want to see both of them. Okay, so it doesn't really matter when or where I start. And you could make these without ever even, these rugs with just doing the stitching to hold the layers together. But remember this one right here, the green there is actually a canvas fabric. Now I want to get this out of my way. And I will tell you, see there, I got that off and I got that off. I am not going to worry about that. I'm going to actually do it again and maybe get more off. Why? Because that's the whole idea of this, was sketching. And in the scheme of things, that was pretty much what the ones we saw look like. And you're thinking, oh, Donelle, I don't know. Well, don't make mistakes like Donelle does then. You won't have to take it out. So I'm going to flip this around. And this ought to be interesting because, well, I got to take a few seconds, ladies, to put some stable tape on here. Earlier, I put some stable tape on another template and I picked up my wrong scissors and got a little bit of the gooey stuff on it. Got one more I'll put up here. All right. Got to mess up a little bit, don't you think, just to match the other one? It slipped there, so it's definitely going to mess up. All right. I won't mess up like that on the little ones because I know for some of you that's really bothering you. And I apologize. But I guess because I've seen what they actually look like and their sketching was really kind of off like that. Little man here has a head. So let's get that on there. And there we go. We've got our template here for these pieces. I've lost track. I think I went one too many there. Looks like I need to take my scissors to the scissor sharpener. That would be me. Okay. And now, got two more pieces here. Going to go over that and that. I've got a thick enough bat that this is not doing any damage to my mat, or my mat or my sew study table. Now, I don't know if you know or not, but we got a little antenna here that we can make. This always scares me. This is too close to sewing free motion for me. I'm going to open this up and do the circle. And stop over here on this side so I can do the other antenna. Coloring block applique, Jill says. Sounds good to me. So there we have our butterfly. So now what we're going to do is we are going to switch our threads to that cream I was referencing, or ecru, or whatever color you want to use. This is the color I'm going to use. Get the bobbin in there. Remember, whenever you thread, always thread with your foot up. The machine's foot up, I should say. If you want to hold your foot up, that's okay too. And I've got my backing here. And I'm going to turn this, or not turn it, but line that up. And you're probably wondering what size I've got here. So let me tell you, it is 20 by, well, it looks like it's 20 by 21. maybe 22. Yes, 22. So whatever you want to do it. Now, I need to switch my foot back to my regular foot to stitch around that edge. Got to find my screwdriver. Set my machine back to just a regular straight stitch. Some of you may have to put your feed teeth up if your machine didn't automatically. Now I'm not going to worry about changing my needle. It's really just, it's a 90 top stitch. In fact, in this one, it's a purple tip needle for the Janome. And the thing I need to remember is to leave a place open. So let me just take a pencil here and I'm going to mark it there and about 6 or 7 inches over there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right here and I'm going to stitch out to the edge and back. And then I'm going to raise that foot and I'm going to go the width of my presser foot all the way around. Now, when you get down to the corner, if you want to have a nice corner when you turn, you're going to do some diagonal stitching. So I'm going to come across and stop before it would turn exactly square. Pull this like 90 degree angle and do about 3 little stitches. And then turn this. Keeping everything flat, you may want to pin it. If you have, I could have put on my AccuFeed foot. If you have a walking foot, you can put on that walking foot. I'm just kind of controlling it just as you see what I'm doing. It starts to want to bunch up, and I just put my finger in front of it to control it. I am actually going to do what we call grade these seams before I turn it. I'm going to cut here. Hang on a sec. While I was talking, I moved off of my, there we are. I moved off of my edge of my fabric. Now we're back. I'm going to stop again, like I said. Raise that foot, turn it 90 degrees. 1, 2, 3. Ah, that's funny. I hit the cutter button. Well, we'll start on this corner as if it was brand new, right there. Now, don't worry about this because as you can see, it angles out. When I cut this, it's going to be just fine. Now, since I broke my thread, I've got to backstitch there. This is cross grain on the fabric, and you notice it's not pushing up or looking like it would benefit from a walking foot, but that's just typical cross grain versus the lengthwise grain. So here we are. Everything stayed the same on this one. 1, 2, 3. Oops. Maybe we will go back one. Yeah. Perfect turn there. What? My large ovals aren't stitched? Oh dear. Thanks for letting me see that. Hang on, guys. I might be able to fix that. Of course, it's not in this corner. It's over here. Oh, I can get it, you guys. I can get it. All right. So, thanks for somebody being, Linda, watching me create. Because I sure don't want to do any kind of handwork. Oh, no, not me. So let's just, I'm not going to change my bobbin. I may regret that. We'll see. I'll change my bobbin. I don't want to regret it. Maybe I'll have to do all my sewing with you guys watching me so you can keep me from making great mistakes. Okay, let's see what we can do here, guys. We got this. Look there. All right. It's this oval. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Linda. I think maybe several Lindas might have said that. All right. We got it. Just in the nick of time. Okie dokie. Now, if you wanted to, you could bind this rather than stitching it together and turning. That would be totally up to you. I just didn't want to do all that extra on that canvas, so I decided I would turn it. All right. Back in the saddle again. Oh, it'd help if I got it back on ruler work. No, Donelle. Straight stitch. There we go. Needle down. I'm gonna reverse a bit there. Now, any of you that have worked on sewing garments know about grading seams, but if you're totally a quilter and a crafter, you may not know what that means. So let me explain here. So what I'm going to do again, this has got nothing to do with grading seams, but I need my 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to be stopping down here at my line. And then I'm going to turn this, again, stitch out to the edge, and back stitch. And then I can cut it. This is going to help our turn to lay nice and flat because we stitched out to the edge. Now, what about this grading of seams? Well, grading of seams means that you are changing the level, the landscape, so to speak. So I don't want all this heaviness out here. So I'm going to pull back my first layer and I'm going to grade it so it's shorter. And it's easier to do it from the top down because you can hold on to the layer you want to remain longer. In clothing, because you wouldn't have batting, you would grade it the other way so that the side that's going to, when it's turned, that is closest to the outside is the longest. As you can see, my longest layer here is going to be to my back side. But that takes a lot of the extra thickness out of there. Of course, on our corners, we're just going to cut across like we normally would. Going to pull this back so that I can hold that and cut those layers shorter. This just makes it lay a whole lot nicer when you turn it. Two sides to go. This canvas is fabric. I have it in probably 4 or 5 different patterns, but it's fabric that I actually ordered, and we were making a lot of bags with it. Okie dokie here. So we're down to where that was joined. So I'm going out this way. I really don't want to do that in there. Okay, can get my hand in there. I'm going to my farthest corners. And then I'm going to get my point turner increaser. And I'm going to go in there. We'll flip it to the right side. And I got that point turner that I can turn that out. And you can see by the fact that I went diagonal, now I get a better point. I'm just going to pull that down along that edge to the next point. Turn that one out. Pull across this bottom. Sorry, I'm not on the screen. I got to get back here so I can get to my point. There we are. And just using that creaser along that edge just makes it so easy then to do your pressing. And with this heavier fabric, you might not have to do hardly any pressing at all. So there we are across the top. Down here at this opening, because we stitched it like that, it automatically wants to go back in there. Okay, so I'm going to step away for a second and go to the big ironing board and get this pressed. I'll be right back. All right, get a couple things fit out of the way here. You can see how that just kind of laid perfectly back there. I'm going to start right here on the edge and edge stitch this all the way around. I think I can see like doing the preparation and this being like a beach bag. There's a lot of different fun things you can do with this thread sketching technique. It's really a huge difference since I graded those seams. You can see how nice this is top stitching there. I'm not out at the edge of my foot, I'm in just a bit, so it's actually doing about a 1/4 inch top stitch. One more. Now, before I get over here too far, I've got a couple of threads I want to cut off that were sticking out, mainly because it was a canvas. It's a looser weave, and I got a thread right there. So let's get that back in. Overlap, back stitch a few, and then cut it. Now the easy part comes into play, and that is we're going to do some straight line quilting. Now, I saw some of these that had straight line quilting every 1/2 inch, every inch, every whatever you wanted it to be. I'm going to start out by using my fabric, because if you notice, it's got vertical lines in it. Am I going to stitch right through my other work? Yes, I am. So I'm going to start in almost the middle here. I'm going to come back up here, right at that edge, put that needle in, raise it, pull this up, because I will be going back and tying those threads. Actually, no, I'm not. I think it will be stronger doing it with a back stitch. And it's not going to show. So let's get that 1/4 inch ready. Stitch forward a little bit and back. Line her up. Let's go back up here. There is a line there. Well, that was crazy. I meant to put the needle down, not bring it up. Not cut it, I mean. Forward a few, back to the line, forward. It's going to take a little bit of lining up off of this other line, since there's no line in there. So you can see it's now getting some stability to it. Part of that obviously due to the fact that it is a fabric that's a little bit firmer, and that I used 2 layers of that batting. So let's just go ahead and start here. Oops, had the 1/8 inch. Come forward a few stitches, back, and then I need to line up clear down here before I head through my flower. This just goes through here like butter. And you can see there's a skinny line right there, but it never really comes except that there. So I'm skipping clear over to this line. Line that up. Forward a few, back to the line. Come down farther. You could do cross hatching. You could do side-to-side quilting. You can do whatever you want to do on this. Let's see how we're doing here on the back. I cut these threads from the front. Doing fine. If your machine tends to eat your threads, definitely pull them up. Mine seems to be doing fine. Down here, because I backstitched, all I got to do is cut that. If you go forward first, you have less chance. If you're not pulling your thread up, you have less chance of it making a thread nest. If I hadn't started ruler quilting, I don't know what, I wouldn't know what I'd be missing, that's for sure. But it's so much fun to take off in different directions and using these templates. And some of you probably thought by the fact that I went around the outside edge first that when I came down here I was going to have a problem with puckering. And the reason I don't is because of the fact that I'm doing ruler work. I'm not using a foot that's pushing it. It's me that's pushing that through. And you can see underneath here, I guess I got a couple threads there, that it is turned, it's caught, it's stitched. This is just a thread that needs to be cut. So now I've got this side to do. Now some would say that you need to sew them all the same direction. With ruler work, I've not found that to be that important. So since it's easier to have most of my quilt off to the left, I'm not going to worry about that. That kind of showed me I needed to go back first, or go forward first. Kind of forgot that. And as you notice when I'm doing this, it's really not a distraction to my design. Since I'm not stitching with black thread, I'm stitching with a companion color. Kathy's asking, I don't use Stitch Witchery. I am using a fusible, either Heat and Bond Light or Sew Steady carries what is called Templey Fuse. Any kind of a lightweight fusible that you can stitch through. It is called raw edge applique. I would never do it on a project that was going to be laundered a lot because it's raw edge. But think of all the people that are doing all of the template quilting. That's raw edge too. Same concept, only backwards. So I definitely know that when you take this out of the laundry, you're probably going to need to press it again. That's for sure. Oh, my bobbin thread's out. Well, let's just take that as our sign. And we're going to say, you've got a whole idea of what to do here and how to do it. You could even just simply put together some mats that you didn't even do any of this on, but you made some outdoor table mats or whatever just by stitching the two layers together and then doing the echo quilting, or straight line quilting is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, you can see what we've got here. It's upside down, Donelle. Yes, it is. This side, I've got 1, 2, 3 more lines to do, but the bobbin thread is out. So we will replace it and finish it up, because if I don't finish it up right now, it usually doesn't get finished. And I'm sure you all can relate to that. So thank you for joining me today for this Elevate class, Fresh Table Topper. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to shoot me an email. I'll be happy to answer them for you. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.